What was it like really learning how to sell life insurance right out the gate, right?
It
Like,
was more about knowing what I was selling and knowing the products and how it worked. That was the difficult part for me. So that's my
now,
long-term
and
goal.
telesales, that's the beautiful thing about being your own boss. You don't have to ask for vacation time. You don't, well, what do you think you're doing differently now that has made you as successful as what you are?
I think there's two huge things. So one is going to be schedule. So my largest month ever was actually this January, and I did $81,373.
When it comes down to it, want to make sure that everybody knows that. Comment below if you're interested in joining. Shoot us an email at Ryco, that's RYCO, have it all at gmail.com.
Yeah, so it's insuredwithcody@gmail.com. I have the Ryco email as well. Feel free to text me. I'll give you my business cell, which is going to be 210-606-7118.
Welcome back, guys. It is Ryan Valet here, your telesales final expense expert, or better known as the Fexpert. Joined here today with my best friend, partner in crime, and also partner in business, Cody Witzel. I had to have him on here. I begged and begged and begged. Took me forever. There's a wait list, and he's finally here. So, Cody, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. Guess I get to cash that check this week and I'll be golden.
That's right. That's right. So, yeah, like I said, guys, I wanted to bring him on here. Him and I decided to kind of start an agency together and accidentally, to be honest with you. And I think it's really important to hear what his thoughts and where everything started and how he decided to partner up with me, maybe. What in the hell he was thinking.
Yeah, man. So about 3.5, 4 years ago, I jumped in this business, not really knowing anything about it, um, and kind of was lost, to be completely honest. And then we met up with each other, each needing a little bit of help, and we found a real good partnership. We come, I would say, dare to say, like best friends. We've met in person twice in 4 years, which is pretty crazy. Um, but I got into the business basically by mistake, I guess you could say, and that's where we're at now.
Very nice, man. Yeah, and you've made quite the name for yourself, to say the least. You've done pretty well. Had some very large months, which we'll get into those numbers very soon. But the bigger thing is I guess let's kind of like everybody does. Tell us kind of what your background is. What brought you into final expense or selling life insurance? Good God.
So actually, my grandma's been in insurance for 27 years now. She works for State Farm still. And when I was about 18, she tried to get me to jump into the industry. It was more on the PNC side. I wasn't really, I thought like that's what old people do. And then I had an employee that left working with me or for me and came in one day and showed me her paycheck. And I was just
Hey, I
like,
got to
man, if this,
interrupt you right there, man. So, you know what's really wild? I don't think either one of us know this until right now. But my dad actually used to sell insurance, and he kind of tried to get me into insurance years ago, and I never did. So we were both idiots not getting into insurance at the age of 18, right? So that's
yeah,
a
imagine
little
where we'd be
factoid.
now if we would have gotten in at 18, man, you would definitely know who I was and who Ryan was at this point, right? That's what I feel
Yes.
like.
Yes, without a doubt.
So basically, she came in and I was just like, hey, what's going on? She brought me sushi, and I used to always buy her lunch and buy her food for her. And she said, I just want to show you my check. So she opened her phone and showed me her deposits, and I was blown away. Honestly, my honest response was, is if she could do this, I could kill it. I didn't know anything or anybody. I literally texted my wife while she was sitting at my desk and I said, hey, honey, tonight I'm making a huge change and I'm going to change everything. And if I don't do it now, I'll never do it. So I need to make a decision if I'm going to do it. And I decided to do it. The beginning was really, really hard. Um, there was plenty of nights where my wife would have to drive the car because we had a newborn and a baby on the way. So my wife would drive the car pregnant and ask me questions, and I would answer. And that's how I studied to pass my exam.
Wow. That's that's pretty wild, man. That's dedication, honestly. Really, if you think about it, a lot of people, there's so many people who see that test. Um, it's truly a daunting test. I don't know how many times, both of us have experienced it, but where we send out the information to go take your test and go through all that process and study and so forth, and they just don't do it, right? Um, uh, you know, I totally get where you're coming from, though. That's pretty awesome, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I was working two jobs basically. So I worked 57 hours a week on my last job. And then on nights and weekends, that's when I would door knock. At the very beginning of my career, I started with door knocking.
It, you started to kind of touch on it, but tell everybody a little bit more about what it was like. You did you have any sales background or anything like that?
No, so I was in consumer finance. So I helped people on our demographic, right? Seniors on Social Security who needed help. Final expense, like the bread and butter, right? Those were my clients for the last 13 years. Is basically I would assist them in helping them be able to pay their rent and buy groceries and things of that nature. I never sold anything. I literally had a conversation with them, and they were asking me for money, and I would provide it for them, and then they would set up payments with me, right? So I never sold anything, never did car sales, never did waitressing or waitering, nothing like that. But I started doing this when I was 18, 17, and I did it till I was about 28. So a little over 11 years, closer to 12. Yeah, that's what I did it for. So no sales background though.
Very nice. Yeah, that's impressive, never having sold anything and then come in here trying to figure out how to, yeah, coming in, there's no traditional the traditional sales model. So I was lucky enough that I came from a company that put the time, basically paid me to learn how to sell. That's it definitely helps without a doubt. So it says a lot that again, it comes down to what it all boils down to is dedication and determination to get there. What was it like really learning how to sell life insurance right out the gate? Right? Like was it easy for you? Was it, oh my good God, I don't know what in the world I'm doing?
It was a mix of both, right? Because I've talked to people for a very long time. I've most of my jobs have been speaking, right? So conversation wasn't hard. It was more about knowing what I was selling and knowing the products and how it worked. That was the difficult part for me. Now, once I got that and I understood that there was like really three things we were looking at, then I wasn't, it came pretty simply because it was about, like you said, the dedication to not only learn, but put in the time, right? So the more effort I put in, the more time I put in, the more doors I knocked, the more hours in the car, the more podcasts I listened to about mental health and things of that nature really propelled me to realizing it's just a numbers game. And I had to get as many doors as I could every day to get the results I wanted and 10x my income.
Nice, nice. Hold on to that because the matter or the fact of how many doors you had to go through, right? Like that's going to become a pretty big topic later on. So definitely keep that at the top of your mind. So I guess you look at now where you're at today and where you initially started. Well, what do you think you're doing differently now than what you were doing before that has made you as successful as what you are?
I think there's two huge things. So one is going to be schedule, right? Before I had a very plain schedule. It was wake up at 4:45, work out for a little bit, and then I had an hour drive to the office, and then I had an hour drive home, and it was sometimes it was an hour and a half because of traffic, right? Because I work downtown.
Mm.
So that was my schedule prior. And in between was I was a boss and I ran a company and I helped people and I did all kinds of things all over the place, right? So that's what I did. Coming into this, it was like I didn't have all the employees and the people to say like, hey, I need you to do that, and I need you to run to the bank, and I need you to do this errand for me, while I did what was important, payroll and approvals and credit checks and all this kind of stuff, right? So coming here, the biggest difference was having the weight of everything on my shoulders and trying to figure out what was the most important task to handle that day or that minute or that hour that was going to help me be successful. And I think that's where a lot of agents get lost, is there's so much coming at them that they see the money and that's what they want, but they don't realize all the other little things that go unseen that you have to know how to do and you have to figure out on your own, because there's not a playbook that tells you Monday do this at this time and Tuesday and Thursday and then you're going to get paid Friday, right?
Yeah,
So
and I
that's
would
kind of,
add, I would add to that that it comes to I guess I would ask you, was it weird not having a boss anymore? Not really. I know that you kind of ran a little bit of the show before, but now it literally is all you. It seems like a lot of agents truly, truly struggle whenever it comes to telling themselves, listen, you got to get off your duff and go work. Right. So was that difficult for you, or did you feel like that was kind of an easy transition?
yeah, so I think it was an easy transition because I didn't ever have to check in with anybody or anything like that. Um, they would call me every once in a while, we would chit chat, but for the most part, it wasn't a big transition. The biggest transition for me was like going from the steady, this is your bonus every month and this is your salary every week, to the like, oh goodness, you got COVID. Well, you're not getting paid because you got to sit in the house for 14 days. And we'll talk about that later, but that's kind of where I changed up and decided to go into the telesales.
So tell me, is there anything that you like really want to change right now? Or, I mean, maybe what are your long-term goals for like yourself and our team?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things I want to do is I want to get us to a point where I don't have to sell as much, so that way I can train and teach and help and hire more. So that way there's more people that could be in a position like I was. Like I was living paycheck to paycheck. I am the same now, but it's on a different level, right? Like I enjoy my life. My wife doesn't have to work anymore. I was able to get her out of her job working for somebody else, and she just opened her own business in the last 2 months. So it's been a big difference, a blessing. I live a different kind of life than I ever thought I would, but I want to be higher and better and farther along, right? So the goal is to stop selling and hire more, train more agents to get out of the rut and to be successful and teach them that it's easy, right? Like I'm nobody to nobody. So for me to be able to do it, I know that there's a million other people that we can teach to do it, right? So that's the goal for the agency, for us. And then just being able to literally, like, vacation is my favorite thing. So being able to be on vacation and actually work on vacation is something that I inspire to want to do, right? It's nice to go once a year here or there and work for a couple hours, but I want to like be able to spend a lot of my time out and have a laptop and a phone and have that, what you see, like that remote lifestyle, right? And still be successful to where it's not like a fake thing, right? I want it to be real.
Yeah.
So that's my long-term
And
goal.
telesales, that's the beautiful thing about being your own boss. You don't have to ask for vacation time. You don't have to, beg and plead to, only work so many hours, maybe. We literally can make that decision, doing telesales. Just recently went to Florida for 10 days, so, and you could do the same. And so if I'm understanding correctly, your goal is to get to a point to where you work remotely far more often than what you ever have, right?
Absolutely, yes. I want to spoil my wife and be on vacations and trips all the time and just reinvest in ourselves, right? And I think that'll be a way to spread the word and bring in other agents is in person, right? Showing them the ability that we can reach them.
Yeah. No, it's awesome, man. Now I think we're going to get to the really juicy part. So, um, let's just jump right in, and we've talked about, some of your success and that you've done well and so forth, but now it's really time to tell everybody, what is Cody Whittle's largest month?
It's funny that you say that because this is the things that I don't like is talking about these things because it sounds really good, right? But nobody knows what really goes on. So my largest month ever was actually this January, and I did $81,373. And my lowest month was May just a couple months ago, and I only did 18,000, which I know that sounds crazy that that's low, but like it's low when you're used to producing a bigger amount, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and
We're
that's,
both used to issuing pretty consistently. It is pretty crazy, and it's very possible for really anybody to do to issue that much business. It's just a matter of having the skill and the determination.
yeah, I would tell you right now, we have agents that don't have great English accents, and that was their biggest struggle coming in. And man, 12, $15,000 a month, 3 months in, like it's crazy to see. It really is like the same thing we're going to repeat. It's about dedication, right? The dedication that they've put in to be able to reach their goals of where they're at. And they want to keep going and they want to move forward and get higher and better numbers, right? So it's crazy to see like when I see 81,000, I don't really like, I'm like, yeah, I did it, but it should have been 100, right? Like I want to hit 100 one day, hopefully. Maybe next month is the goal, right? But I don't ever want to be down there at 18 again. Is kind of where I'm at, if that makes sense. But that takes a lot, right? So that would be
I
like
think,
where the
and just to kind of stop you there, honestly, I think it is important for us to, not just say how amazing you are, because, dude, you do a lot of business and you do very well, right? So I definitely don't want to diminish your everything that you've accomplished, but it is important to understand that the business has its highs and lows, right? I think the best way it can be said is you want the highest of highs, but keep your lows to an absolute minimum. And it can be very difficult to do that. I mean, life, you've got a wife and 3 kids. I've got a wife and 2 kids, and it's hard to manage everything all together, but it can be done. And we're always, always trying to get better with that to help teach our agents time and time again that, look, today may not be great, but tomorrow could be amazing, so it is. I just wanted to kind of stop right there and make sure that everybody understands that you can have some rough months, but you can have some absolutely amazing months, and you should be hitting in on all cylinders and pushing as hard as you can every month. So
Totally agree, man. And I think that's not only the law of attraction, but what you create for yourself, right? So if you have that negative Nancy mindset of today's gonna suck and I'm not gonna do great and I'm gonna this, that, and the fifth, what'll happen is that's gonna be 2, 3, 4, 5 days, and then your month's over and you're like, man, I only did 18,000, right? For me, right, is the case. And then there's months where you're like, oh, I'm gonna kill it today. Every day I wake up, I'm gonna do 350 dials and I'm gonna get this done. That's the months that you strive to do. You strive to be like that. Those are the months that you hit the big goals and the big numbers. I think it's all about mindset.
yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I think that's one of the biggest reasons why you and I have partnered. And we not just partner, but get along so well, right? Is yeah, some days you get down, but between the two of us, we pick the other one up all the time, and remind each other why we're here. So you're looking at an average of about 52,000 a month ish. So you've, if I get this right, you've issued 236 policies, so about 39 per month on average. So I mean, that's huge, right? That's more than a policy a day. Whenever it comes down to it, what do you think has contributed most to your success and why you've been able to issue so much, especially on the months that you issue so much? What do you think is the contributing factors?
So I'll tell you this, man, and to cover what we just went over, I'm going to answer your question real quick and then I want to circle back a little bit. But the number one thing is going to be schedule, right? Knowing your schedule, knowing what you can do, and then actually doing what you say you're going to do, right? So I like to say even keel, right? Like that's where I want to stay. Like if you're doing really great, I'm not like excited. I'm just like still just, gliding along, like if I'm not doing great. If I'm not doing great, I'm still gliding along like if I'm doing okay. right? Because staying even kill helps me to know that there's more to be done. And I used to be in the mindset of like, I sold one policy, and this is literally the story. I would go to Target. My wife would come in my office and be like, honey, you sold a policy at 10 a.m. Let's go to Target. And we would go to Target. We would buy her a swimsuit or something, right? I would get a t-shirt. We would go eat lunch. And then it was like 2:30, 3 o'clock. We'd get back to the office and I'd be like, oh, I'm tired. I sold a policy for the day. I made more money in that policy than I made, at 3 days of my old job. So then I would just call it a day, right? I got in
Yeah,
this
it
little
really
slump.
is amazing whenever you can get that super fat deposit. I've never seen deposits like that either. Like literally wake up and you're like, oh wow, 5 grand was just deposited in my bank account. That's pretty sweet, and then 2 days later another 3 grand. But it can be taken away. What he giveth, he can take away, right?
Absolutely, and faster, right? So,
Yeah, yeah,
um, yeah, so contributing to the policies, right? It's going to be schedule. It's going to be time on the phone. It's going to be doing money making activities. It's going to be doing things that you know are the right thing to help you get where you want to go. Even if you don't, even if you're tired, don't feel great, it's still making sure you're dialing and getting the people on the phone. Because once you do that, you've heard the thing about it's the number of no's, right? As many no's as you can get in a day, you're going to get a sell. I find the days that I do 300 or 400 dials, I don't make any sales, but the next day I have like 5 sales back to back to back to back, and I've only made 10 calls, right? So I know that those bad days are always in good. It's just a separate day, right? So
yeah.
that's been a big thing about it.
That's awesome, man. Talk a little bit about, we mentioned before, about going in home and telesales. What exactly, you said that you started in home, and for everybody who doesn't know, both Cody and I went in home, we went to telesales, then we went from telesales back to in home, then we went to telesales, and it seems like we went in home and then back to telesales, and we went to telesales again. It's been all over the place, but we finally found our home. Not to say that it can't be done in home. I am so thankful that there are people out there who love to go and shake hands. I just am so thankful for those people because I friggin' hate it. I love my four walls. But not only that, I hate sitting in some of the nastiest houses ever. Um, and there's some really great people out there. Nasty house, nice house, doesn't matter. They're all over, right? But um tell everybody a little bit about why, what it was like to go in home for you. I've expressed my distaste for in-home sales. But tell everybody what it was like for you going in home, and why you went to telesales in the first place, and why you've chosen to stay.
Yeah, so big thing, right? So in my previous job, I would also was in charge of making sure we collected all the money that we lent out, right? So let's just say I gave you a loan for $1,500 and you were 3 months behind. Well, guess what? I would go to your house and I would be in your house collecting money from you, telling you that you owed me, right? So my scenario is like, is that better? Or is knocking on the door and saying, hey, you filled out this form. I want to help you get this insurance. Can I come in and sit with you? And it's a casual, cordial conversation, right? Like the first one, I had guns pulled on me before. And the second one, I had people giving me their bank account info, right? Like, so it wasn't such a drastic thing for me that I hated it. But what happened is I wanted to get to a certain level of income. And I live in a populated city. I live in Texas, in a big city where I can go to door to door to door to door, right? I'm not in a rural spot like Ryan is. He travels 30 to 40 minutes between each house, right? Me, it was like 6 minutes between each house. So I could do about 18 door knocks a day. I could do 25 with no answers. But if I had one person answer or two people answer, which is the goal, I would only get to 15 to 17 to 18 houses. And I realized that that type of person was the only person I was going to get. And their budget was 70 to $90 roughly. So I was capping out at about 6 grand, 8 grand a week doing door knocks. I didn't have any preset appointments, so I just would get the lead and go directly to their house, knock on the door, and say, "Hey, you filled it out. My name's Cody. I'm the guy. Let me in. Let's to go over it." Right. So it would take if I did 7 pitches, I probably closed 5 deals. Right, maybe 6 on a good day. So it was about getting in front of the people, but at the end of the day, I hadn't maxed out that income, and it felt like my last job. Right, there was no more, there was no higher for me to go. I was at that max capacity, and so one week in telesales, I made like 9 grand in 2 days versus 7 grand in a whole week. Right. And I was like, it's a no brainer at this point. Like, if I can just continue to do this, then I can have some really big, gigantic months and I can just stack them against each other and I'll never look back. And that's kind of what's unfolded here. Right. I had a $7,000 day. I've had $13,000 days. And then I've had 6 or 7 days in a row with 0 eggs, right? Which is part of the game. You just got to stay even keel the whole time. So,
So you think that's probably why you're going to stay with telesales is because of more or less efficiency. You can perform or produce far more with telesales than what you can in home. Is that the moral of the story?
yeah, I think so. And I think 2024, right? As everybody knows, things are changing. Like, we're going remote and telesales is like a thing. Um, I also think wear and tear in your vehicle, gas, the boredom, right? The mental in your car, you're thinking a lot and you're just getting your own head. I think none of that really occurs in telesales because you're dialing, you're talking to people. We do a 24-hour Zoom in our group. So our Zoom is on all the time. So we're helping and talking to each other. So there's not really much time for you to get in your own head and like get worried or stressed out. I would come home every day stressed out, whether I sold 3 policies or I sold 0 policies, because I had so much time to sit there and just think. And I saw the money I was wasting on car payment, gas, mileage, wear and tear, lunch, right? Like all of these things. Um, and then I would come home with no sales for 2 days in a row, and it would kind of kill me, right? But in 2024, I think more it's liked a little bit more amongst the people, and understood that, hey, we can go remote because insurance isn't the only thing that's gone remote. Almost everything has. So it's become more normalized to like ask for somebody's social or get their bank account information over the phone versus like having to be in person and see the little card, right? So that's a big thing.
Yeah. No, that's so true. I know whenever I first started my previous sales job, they talked a lot about how difficult it was to get bank information and it still was even towards the end of that job, but it was definitely more difficult. You ran into a lot more people who are like, "Well, I'm not going to give my bank information over the phone." And we're talking about TV and internet. Well, you want this TV and internet or not, and then there was more stores or whatever that they could go to and do the thing, do whatever they needed to. Now it's like you even go in the store and you got to do it over the phone. So it is very true. It's funny. I'll bet you when we first started there was there only one carrier maybe that actually did a one-time passcode, the passcode where you can text,
Yeah,
and
just
now
one.
yeah, exactly. Now there's 5 or 6 at least. I mean, that's huge. Makes it so much easier. The ability to do things over the phone have really increased. So, we could be captive, and have everything kind of spoon fed to us. And obviously that really affects your commission levels. You're not going to get 100% or more whenever you're talking being captive, obviously. So commission's a big thing, but do you think the ability to have so many different carriers, at our disposal, you think that makes a big difference?
I absolutely do for a couple of reasons. The first one is going to definitely be for us. I think when it comes to pay, knowing your carriers and knowing who pays you and how they pay you and what your percentage is is definitely a contributor to like how you can have and stack up big checks, right? Secondly, it gives you an out when a client can't afford a payment or there's something wrong with them. You're not cornered into just picking one option, right? Having 10, 11, 12, 14, 18, 20 carriers, whatever the number is, having those amount of carriers means that no matter what is going on, current cancer, dialysis, all of these things, you can cover the person. Now, they might not like the option, but you can comfortably tell them, I can, no matter what, anybody you go to, I have an option for you, right? I can help you regardless. Now, we just have to make sure you understand how the help's coming and that it's the best thing for you, right? So carriers are huge. I would never want to be captive or put in that bubble because I would just be working for somebody else, right? I wouldn't get 100% or more commission. I wouldn't hold my renewals. I wouldn't have my own book of business. And if I ever left, everything I worked for is gone and somebody else has it, right? And I can't reach out to my clients anymore, right? And bring them over to wherever I go. So that's a big deal, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's so true, man. That's good. Yeah, I mean, and everybody's got their pick. Whether you do a free leads program, whether you do what they call a broker program, and you kind of on your own to figure it out. Tell everybody about kind of how our what we do and what our specialty is, so to speak.
Yeah, so we main 99.99% are telesales, right? We have an agent or two that'll want to go in home here or there. And we both have the experience to train on that, right? But ours is more of a broker program. So what that means is you come in, you get an ad made for you, you pay for your ad, you get all your leads direct to you. We set you up on a system, and then we train you one-on-one training, like hours of time that we dedicate to you to put in to help you understand not only how to sell, but what you're selling, who not to sell to. I'll tell you one of the greatest feelings, and I know you'll concur with me on this, is being able to turn away people and like say like, well, you need me, but I actually don't want to help you. Regardless of if I just be chemistry or you can tell that that person's lying to you and they're not telling the truth on the applications, it's good to be able to have that feeling, right? A lot of people come into the industry and they're hungry for the money. So they just sell everything to everybody and they don't watch what they're doing and they're not careful, right? And so that ability to be able to do that is humongous, bro. It feels amazing.
Yes, yes, I couldn't agree with you more. And the really the unfortunate thing about this business is you've also got those agents out there who not only just want to sell anything to anybody, but they'll sell anything to someone who doesn't actually need it. It's one thing to explain to somebody, hey, look, you may need some more coverage, and kind of go through that process and explain to them, look, if you don't want to leave this everything as a bill, then you do need more, right? That's different than saying, oh yeah, you've got this policy for 5 years and well, I can get you this policy. Yeah, I know it has a 2 year wait, and maybe they probably don't even explain that it has a 2 year wait. I mean, heck, I had a client who was saving, who was say paying $100 a month, and some guy came in home and said that that company sucks, and although you're going to pay $20 or more, this is a better company. It was a crock, right? It is a true shame, unfortunately, in this business that there are really, really shady agents out there, and it's because of their I think part of it, their uplines are telling them, yeah, that's okay, just make $1 because the upline gets the advantage, to that. And then the other part is the agent doesn't care about who they're dealing with. It is a true blessing. And likewise, I know you'll agree with me on this, is I don't often feel like I'm truly selling anybody. I mean, we both tell them, look, I'm going to tell you like I would tell my mom, my grandma, my sister, my brother. You are you're in the best position, right? I just had a client just the 2 days ago, where I told her, look, you've got $10,000 in coverage. You Whenever it comes down to it, we're going to take a look at that policy. If it makes sense for you, to make a switch or look at something to replace that, I'm going to explain it to you. And if that makes sense to you, you make that educated or informed decision. But I'm going to tell you, if you're in the best position, I'm going to tell you that is the best position you can be in, and you better stop calling people, because you're going to get a hold of somebody who is not as honest as what I am. So it is a true
We
blessing.
call we call them a snake oil salesman, right? Like that's what we
Yeah.
say. And I'll
Yeah.
tell you, man, I think one of the best things about us is that we do have a conversation, right? That's what we train on. So that's part of the process as well. We teach you how to have a conversation and explain not only the point of view you have, but your professional opinion and why that matters, right? Because they don't know what they don't know. They know that they need insurance, they know that they're going to die, and they know that they don't want their kids or their loved ones to have to pay for it. Now,
Right.
that's all great, but you have to put it all together and make it make sense for them. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of agents lack as well, is the understanding of how to go from A to B to D, and you're okay in the middle, right? You're not going
Mhm.
from A to Z and skipping all these steps that the client needs to know, right? And that's a big part of why we can help with chargeback persistency and things of that nature, because we understand the middle parts that the client wants and needs to know, so that way we're not missing anything.
Right on. Right on. That's so true. So true. So we probably need to button this up, but I think it's really important to explain to the agents out there, you know, anybody out there who is maybe been in the business for, 5 years, or someone who is just now getting their license. Basically what you and I know now, how does it help our current agents and those looking to join?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of things, right? So number one is obviously going to be honesty and transparency. A lot of agency owners and people that are uplines, they're not there, right, when you need them. They're a phone call away or a text away, but that text is sent, and 39 minutes later, they're giving you an answer when you needed one 10 seconds later, right? You're in front of a client or you got a client on the line. So that's a big thing. We don't have that issue. There's two of us, and we're always available. We're available via text, FaceTime, Zoom, Slack. So there's plenty of ways to get a hold of us. We have text change and things of that nature that you can reach out to us on. Secondly, is the training. We have a built out script, we have a built out program, we have a built out workbook sheet that you can actually use to not only do an intake of your client and have all the information securely taken care of and safe, but we also have that walk through the script. So you're doing two things at once, but it feels like one. Right. So you're actually having and that's how you learn to have a conversation, right? We give you the script and the sheet, and you're reading the script as you're filling out the sheet. So you're having those natural pauses and things of that nature while you're filling something out, and it feels just like a conversation. So that's a huge advantage, because most agents are like, hey, buy this now, and I'm never going to call you back. We really push the follow up game, and we help you understand why follow ups are important and how you can succeed. If I could tell a quick story, I just actually had a death claim today of a client that I had received their policy in January. The policy, or I'm sorry, the lead card in January, and I had called her, immediately, um, set a follow up, missed the appointment. She texted me, missed her appointment, followed up like 6 times, right? Finally, March comes around, and I'm like, listen, lady, you're either going to do this or not. You're in a circumstance where you need insurance. You reached out to me, so let me help you. And if you don't want my help, that's fine. And she said, fine, Cody, do it. So I did it. We got her 8,000 in coverage. That was in March 18th of this year. And in May 20th, she got diagnosed with brain and liver cancer. And she had her brain metastasized, and she died in her sleep. And the death claim we had to file today. And it's like, if I didn't follow up and be persistent throughout the process, right? If I
Mhm.
just called once and left it alone, then I would have been like, man, I wasted my money on that lead. It's just a lead, right? Just like a poker chip's just a poker chip. You don't realize how much money
Mhm.
it's worth. The same thing about these people. You can just let it go past you and not follow up. Well, I followed up. Not only did I make money, but I helped the family get $8,000, right? That they wouldn't have
Mhm.
had to pay for burial or cremation or whatever they wanted to do. So I feel like even though they died, it was a good thing that we ran into each other and took care of it finally after all the persistency right on both ends. So
Yeah.
that's something that we do is we help you with follow up. I think that's a big part of an agent's game where if they can improve on that, not only can they increase their sales, but they can buy less leads, right? Like it's
Yeah.
a wealth of money there just sitting there. So
Right. Right. No, that's 1,000%, man. I mean, it's crazy how many agents out there, and I'm guilty of it myself, not following up with people, you could have 1,000 excuses and it doesn't matter, but it really is a thing of, the more you follow up, the more you're able to actually help people. And it's kind of the beautiful thing of it, so, well, this has been a long time coming. I think we're going to try to make a regular occurrence of it, and that way we can really showcase everything as a team, and everybody can truly see what we're all about. um Whenever it comes down to it, we want everybody to know that, look, if you've been in the business and you're struggling and you're not joining us, you're stupid. If you just started and you're not wanting to come to Ryko, you're stupid. Okay. So don't be stupid and not come to our team. Okay. So, but in all seriousness, um, really, we're very picky, very choosy about who we allow into our team. It's really important that we get the right people with the right mindset, that want to join. Um, because we all operate as a team. We're all here together. So, and here for each other rather. So when it comes down to it, want to make sure that everybody knows that you can find us, um, on YouTube. You look me up, Ryan Valet. If you're here today, comment below if you're interested in joining. Shoot us an email at Ryco, that's RYCO, have it all at gmail.com. The website is coming. It's up and coming soon, soon, soon. But for now, just shoot us an email. Cody, you want to throw your email out there?
yeah, so it's insuredwithcody@gmail.com. I have the Ryco email as well. And you can also feel free to text me. I'll give you my business cell, which is going to be 210-606-7118. Text is the best way to reach me. So if you have questions, comments, concerns, you want to ask something, just shoot me a text.
With that said, everybody, again, Cody, thanks for finally making time for me and coming on the channel. I'm super pumped to get this one out there. Appreciate everything you do. Again, best friend, partner in crime, and we'll be back again. So again, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Go tell your grandma, go tell your mama, tell everybody, come like Ryan Valet. All right. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Boom. Peace out.